AFR Talk. You're listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, and welcome back to this last segment of Focal Point AFR Talk on Friday, Free for All Friday, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Let me say that one more time, 888-589-8840 if you want to join us in here in the last segment. You know, Jesse Jackson Jr. just went off to prison. You heard about that. We talked about that. The media would not tell us his party affiliation. I mean, you could see all the major networks that they gave it very little coverage because he's a Democrat. They don't want to expose Democrats to the ridicule that they oftentimes deserve. They cover for them all the time. And when they did do a story on him, they did not make any mention of his political affiliation whatsoever. Well, I don't want you to worry about him. He is going to be getting $8,700 a month in government disability pay while he is behind bars, and he's going to get a partial federal pension of $45,000 from the time he served in Congress. $8,700 a month in disability. Now, this comes from his claim that he developed a mood disorder as the federal government began to investigate him and eventually indict him for fraud. Said, when the government started coming after me, I developed a mood disorder. I am now disabled. Pay me $8,700 a month. And if you can believe it, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we're going out to work hard 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So Jesse Jackson can collect $8,700 a month for a mood disorder. I arf you not. Now, I've got a couple of sound bites on Obama and the situation in the Middle East. And, Jeff, you were telling me on the break that now we've got a story coming out of Egypt that the Muslim Brotherhood has targeted another facility. Tell us about that.
Yeah, in Mania, which is a little south of Cairo. It's still along the Nile there. The Muslim Brotherhood is responsible for torching an orphanage, which is hard to understand. I mean, what does an orphanage have?
Orphanage.
Yeah.
They went after an orphanage.
Yeah.
Now, is there any details in there?
No, not a lot, except for I guess some other shops in the area also. They were having a sit-in in the town square there. And wow. It's called the Soldiers of Christ Orphanage. It's set up by the Coptic Christians.
So it's a Soldiers of Christ Orphanage. So, I mean, the clear implication is they attacked it just because of the name it bears. They could care less how many kids are in there, how many kids are not going to have anybody to look after them now.
Yeah. Well, it seems to go right in line with what they're doing all across Egypt and attacking churches and Christians.
Well, and again, ladies and gentlemen, that just tells you anybody that believes there's no difference between Islam and Christianity. I mean, think about that right there. What does Christianity do? It starts orphanages. What does Islam do? It burns them down. I mean, right there. I mean, that captures in essence the difference between Islam and Christianity. Christianity starts orphanages. Islam burns them to the ground. Now here at clip 4, Rob, is President Obama making a statement yesterday on Egypt. And he says we don't take sides, but he's dead wrong about this. He's been on the side of the Muslim Brotherhood. These are the people that are out there torching orphanages from the very beginning. Let's listen.
Let me make one final point. America cannot determine the future of Egypt. That's a task for the Egyptian people. We don't take sides with any particular party or political figure. I know it's tempting inside of Egypt to blame the United States or the West or some other outside actor for what's gone wrong. We've been blamed by supporters of Morsi. We've been blamed by the other side as if we are supporters of Morsi. That kind of approach will do nothing to help Egyptians achieve the future that they deserve.
Now, John Bolton, a former ambassador to the UN, this guy's a straight shooter. He's dialed in on all of this national security stuff. And he says when President Obama says we don't take sides with any particular party, John Bolton says that's a lie. That's absolutely not true. He has taken sides with the Muslim Brotherhood from the beginning. Here's what he had to say.
The president has put his thumb down on the scale on the side of the Muslim Brotherhood. This criticism of the Egyptian government, I think, will resonate all over Egypt, and it will not do us any good.
So he says the President Obama is taking sides. He's criticizing the existing government for their crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood for detaining Morsi. Well, he's taking sides. He's saying, I'm with the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm with Morsi. I'm with the people that are torching orphanages. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that's the difference between Christianity and Islam. Christianity builds orphanages. Islam burns them to the ground. Let's take a couple of phone calls. Let's go to Joyce in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Joyce, thank you for calling and thank you for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just calling in regards to the report that you had about the Million Muslim March in Washington.
On September 11, if you can believe it. On 9/11, they're going to do this.
Well, I can. So many things that are happening that we thought would never happen in the United States of America. But my thing is, I wish we had some leadership like Martin Luther King, if Ben Carson or someone that's not a political figure would rally all the conservatives in the United States and let us go to Washington and just make a stand and let the administration see that there is a lot of us and we do not support the things that they are doing and that we do intend to try and get them out of office as soon as there are elections to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think, what you're expressing there, Joyce, is the hunger on a lot of the hearts of a lot of people. We just long for the right kind of political leadership. We understand as Christians that political leaders have power, have authority from God. We know where it comes from. They may not understand that, but we know what the Bible teaches, that every last bit of authority a political figure has, he got from God. It's delegated power. It's delegated authority. And that's why we as Christians have a more vested interest in how that authority is used than anybody else. The reality is we should be more interested, more concerned, more engaged in politics than anybody, because we know whose authority is being used here, either for good purposes or for evil purposes. It's interesting, going back to the Million Muslim March, their Facebook page, they've got a thing where you're going to plan to attend. Well, it's still a ways out. But, September 11, I mean, that's inside a month. I don't know where we are today, what today is, the 15th or something like that. So that's less than a month out. And they've only got 5 people that have signed up for their 1 Million Muslim March. All right, Joyce, listen, I appreciate the call. Let's go to John, Wilmington, North Carolina. John, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Yeah, am I on there?
Yes, you are, John. Go right ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to you yesterday when you had the guy that's running for congressman in New Jersey.
Yeah, running for Senate, Steve Lonigan. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to you on the way home again today, and I'd like to get that website again because, I don't live in New Jersey, but, I would like to try to help the guy out if he's got enough backbone to stand up and, do what's right.
He sure does. And his website, if you want more information about his campaign, is LoniganForSenate.com. Lonigan is Lonegan, LoniganForSenate.com. All right, John, thank you for the call. Maybe Steve Lonigan is part of what Joyce is talking about. She's hungering for the kind of leadership. Now, he's involved in politics, but he's been a small businessman, not just been a politician his whole career. And he may be an example of the kind of leadership that's out there that's starting to emerge to the surface in the Republican Party. 2 sound bites to close off. Let's play clip number 6. This has to do with an unconstitutional plan that President Obama has to raise taxes on our cell phones to pay for internet expansion for students. And here is Kirsten Powers. She's absolutely just fine with this. She's a Democrat strategist. Let's listen.
Yeah, well, based on reports, the cost would be about $4 a year per person to expand our, internet access and to all over the country, which seems like a pretty good deal to me. I think that Obama probably feels like there's no point in even trying to get Congress to do something because there's really almost no idea that he's ever come up with that the Republicans will support. The fact that this that this is referred to. Well, if
skip the legislative branch.
If he can do it, if he can do it and it's legal, I would do it. I mean, at this point, there's no point in even trying to deal with the Republicans. They're not going to. No, but they're not going to work with him. And I think, what is he supposed to just sit with his hands folded for the next 3 years?
Checks and balances.
You know, unless it's illegal, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, Kirsten, of course it's illegal. He has no authority from the Constitution or any place else to simply raise taxes at his own will. And this is what Charles Krauthammer says. Next clip. Let's listen.
And that means he's a failure as a president. Lyndon Johnson had the solid South against him. He worked, he cajoled, he dealt, he made speeches, he mobilized the country, and he passed civil rights. Obama says, well, you know, these guys are obstructionists, so I'll do extra legal stuff, unconstitutional stuff. I'll direct an independent agency. And his own spokesman has to say, well, you know, the agency will make up its own mind. Well, that's not what the word direct means. This is the way he operates. He says the other guys are bad guys. They really don't have the national interest at heart. I do, so I will do stuff and ignore the law. Under our system, what you do is you propose a law, you get it passed, and the Congress appropriates the money. This is not the way that we govern, and this is about the 10th time in his administration in which he's gone around the Congress in ways that are clearly unconstitutional, starting with the way that he's made all these unilateral amendments and suspensions in his own Obamacare without ever consulting with the Congress.
So this is a classic case. I mean, nobody's talking about this. I just stumbled onto this story this morning, that he wants to unilaterally go to the FCC and have them raise the taxes on your cell phone bill $4 a year to expand internet access to students. It might be a good idea, like Kirsten Power says, but he has no authority to raise anybody's taxes. So this is a classic case of taxation without representation. Charles Krauthammer said, look, this is the 10th time he's done something like this. Well, here's a blessing promise from Scripture for your weekend. After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. To him be the dominion forever and ever. Bow low before God, stand tall before man, stand in the gap. Never forget, we're fighting a winnable war. See you on Monday.
The views and opinions expressed in